Welcome to the In Her Image podcast. I'm your host, Andrea John. This is season 4, Formed, Becoming Who God Made You to Be. In this season, I get to sit down with incredible women for honest, weekly conversations as we explore the character traits of the Proverbs 31 woman. Pull up a chair and join the conversation. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode. We are embarking on the character trait of the Proverbs 31 woman, specifically wholeheartedness. And today we have an incredible woman who I think she's just going to be able to bring us so many gold nuggets of wisdom when it comes to this topic. Her name is Brooke Waters. So what we do here, Brooke, is I'm not going to introduce you because I can make a list, a very formal one of all the qualified ways that you are here for, but I'm really here for your heart and for you. So would you be able to introduce yourself to the listeners, let them know whatever it is you want them to know about you?
Yes, of course. So thank you for having me on. I'm excited. I love just long conversations, right? About all the goodness of God, however that shows up in the conversation. And a little bit about me. My husband and I just celebrated 21 years of marriage last December.
Yay.
Yeah. We have 5 children, 4 grandchildren. Our children range from 13 to 30, and our grandchildren range from 4 to 11. So we live in Florida, and we just moved here a couple years ago. We were in Kansas for a long time, and we switched things up. And so now we're here. And yeah, I mean, I could just keep going with a different direction or things, but that's kind of a short snippet.
Yeah. Cool. So funny story is I met Brooke in a Facebook group and I forgot how, but somehow we realized we were both living in the same town in Florida, and it's not like a big city or, the most popular of places. So it was so cool. And Brooke invited me over because she was having guests, and I said yes. And then I told my family, I said, I'm going to go meet a new friend. And my daughters are like, do you know who this is? I said, no, I met her on a Facebook group. And they're like, and you're just going to go to her home? I said, I think it's safe. Don't worry about me. And when I was there, I just kept checking in. I'm still alive. I'm still doing good.
I love it. That's so great.
So awesome. But I know you have a very full schedule. You do all this awesome stuff, as do I. So it's been a little hard to connect in person, but it is cool to knowing like you're right there. And I know you're pretty close by, and I'm in my little shed here, but it's still cool that we can connect. One day we have to do one like in person. It would be fun.
And we got to get coffee too.
I know.
There's got to be coffee.
We have to, yeah. My Alicia's almost done with wrestling season. Once that's over next weekend, I will be in a much better place to have a social life. All right. So I reached out to a bunch of women and told them that I wanted to do what I wanted to do this season on the podcast. And I asked them each to tell me, do any of the traits resonate with you? And wholehearted was on your list. So I would like for you to share with us why you chose that topic.
Well, I believe that we are triune beings, and we're not just fractured, even though that we might believe that we are in some ways. I believe that we're made whole, that we're not lacking anything. And I personally, when I work with people, I come alongside them, addressing them as a whole person, mind, body, and spirit. Now, I know people can get into all the different language used to describe that or understand that, but for simplicity, I'm just going to say that whole person, right? That, and you probably use the word fractured or integrated in different ways. But I believe that what happens with our mind, our body, and our spirit affect each other. And living as a wholehearted person just really encapsulates that. And I was like, well, yeah, that's the thing that's the thing I relate to and resonate with. So 100%. I want to talk about wholeheartedness.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I was coming from in that process.
Beautiful. Oh, that is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because I agree with you 100%. I think people often see themselves as I have my spiritual being here and my physical being here, and they
Hmm.
separate the two, and you do a disservice. I actually feel that being a human is a superpower because we
Hmm.
have access to all the realms
Hmm.
and we limit ourselves. And that's, you know, we may wind up talking about that, but that's super cool. I love hearing you share that. So you mentioned how we're triune being, everything works together. So in your view, that's kind of, I see you already defined what you see as wholehearted, but when you see someone as wholehearted, when you think about it, what does it look like in real life to you? How can you tell that someone's living a wholehearted life or not?
Okay, so let's define wholeheartedness. So we're talking
Okay.
about the same thing.
Yeah, good. Apples to
Yeah.
apples.
So one way that we can look at the word wholeheartedness is giving it your 100%. Like I'm all in.
Okay.
Okay. But the way I related to it was I'm all in mind, body, and spirit as a whole person.
Okay.
Okay. So I know I always do. I don't know. I always make a circle with my hands when I talk about a whole person. I don't know.
Because it's
I
all
talk with my hands.
connected.
It's
It's
all
all
connected.
connected.
Thank you. But, and so being 100% all in with who you are and
Okay.
identity is a huge thing for me. And being wholehearted, people living from a place of wholeheartedness, right? Because identity is the baseline, then we're operating out of who we are. And a lot of times people honestly don't realize when they are operating out of who they are and when they're not. But I can diverse on that for a long time. So,
So what uh either you can give examples or how can someone tell or feel that they're living wholehearted versus not living? Like what's a sign for people to be able to measure? Is there?
well, measure. So, when we're living out of our true identity, our authentic self, wholeheartedly, 100%, we're going to have peace. We're going to feel anchored. We're going to feel, so one, I was going to say easy, but that in itself can become a huge, like, deterrence in conversation. So, what I mean by that is there's scripture that says his yoke is easy and his burden is light. So, when we are carrying heavy things that we're not meant to carry, or we feel burdened, or we feel heavy, then maybe, just maybe, we ought to consider that we are operating out of something other than our true self.
Hmm.
And maybe we're carrying things that aren't meant to be carried. Maybe we're not quite anchored in who we are. And so it feels heavy, it feels burdensome, it feels laborious. I'm not saying, girl, I am not saying we don't need to have grit. Okay.
Right.
I am not saying that. I am not saying that we're not to work hard for things. I'm not saying work isn't necessary. Those are the things I'm not saying. Okay. But there's a difference between having grit and it's still being easy and light and burdenless. So when we're not operating out of our identity, we're going to be operating out of fear.
Mm.
We're going to
Yeah.
be operating at, we're going to hide. We're going to want to hide ourselves, and we're going to want to control everything that's going on around us because we're scared. And so people can do that wholeheartedly too, if we're going to go by the definition of what
True,
wholehearted is.
true.
So that's why I said I want to define what wholeheartedness is, doing it with 100%. But for the sake of all this, we're talking about living wholeheartedly in who you are, your
Right, like the
identity.
way, let's say the way God designed you to live,
Yeah. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I can definitely understand that because I've been through some tough situations. And even though the circumstance was tough, I went through it with ease. Not that it was
Hmm.
easy,
Right.
but I went through it with ease and faith, and I was grounded, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So obviously, sometimes life will throw things at you, but I agree with you. You know, when you're living wholeheartedly in who God's created you to be versus not. I think,
Hmm.
especially women, we can tend to carry things we should not be carrying,
Right.
like other people's emotions, other people's struggles, trying to fix people that we
Hmm.
were not meant to fix, and
Yeah.
sometimes trying to fix ourselves
Hmm.
when really it's about resting in who God said we are
Hmm.
and putting our focus there. Um,
Hmm.
Based on people you've worked with and your experience, and maybe even in your own life, what do you think most often causes people to live divided? What is the main driver that you see, or maybe there's more than one, but what's the most common you think that people struggle with?
Um, well, not knowing who you are, not remembering who you are,
Mhm.
your original design, um, and then fear. Fear is a huge component, and it's not just, I know it's so popular right now to talk about trauma responses, but it really isn't just a trauma response. It's a state of being.
Mhm.
And if a bear's chasing you in the woods, you better be afraid.
Correct, yes.
Okay. It's not that fear is bad or good. I don't look at fear, I don't look at emotions at all as negative or positive,
Me
good or
too.
bad or anything like that. They're just information. And
Yes, me too. I see that
fear,
too.
yes, and fear tends to be a hard one for us to grasp. Okay. Because of the essence of what it is. Now, if a bear's chasing you in the woods, you better be afraid. But a lot of us want to live like a bear's chasing us every day. And so, out of that fear, when we're afraid, we want to grab onto control. Okay. So, the more that we fear we're losing control, the more that we grab onto control. And it becomes this like vicious cycle of a hamster wheel, to a point where you either got to get off that hamster wheel, or you're going to start having panic attacks. You're going to start your whole nervous system, your whole body. Remember the wholeheartedness, how everything affects each other, right?
Yep.
Now, because your mind and emotions have been in a state of fear, now your body's going to start responding to that and will break down in however that looks, and there's a multitude of ways of how that can show up in our body. But when we struggle with living a divided heart, it simply is because fear is the biggest component. And then you can insert whatever after that, right? Fear of abandonment, fear of disappointment, fear of what other people are going to say, all of those things. And then not only are you not living wholeheartedly in your original design or your original blueprint, but now you're living as a fraction of yourself here, a
Mm.
fraction of yourself here, a fraction of yourself here, and you're spread out everywhere. Okay. And everybody knows like a big pizza, right? It can cut into like what, maybe 16 slices if you cut the big slices in half
Right.
again,
Hmm.
right? That's a lot of different pieces. And when we're living divided, we'll just say like a pizza, okay? 8, 16, I don't care how many slices you want. Either one of them, it's not going to be fun to be with. But when we're living divided like that in those different areas, like that's exhausting. That's where burnout can come in. And it's just so many different things. And then you can't really show up as who you are in that because you're pretending to be something else 18 different ways, 16 different ways.
Yes, as you were doing that analogy, I was thinking how you can't be authentic, you can't be yourself when you're
Hmm.
divided because
Right.
there's slices missing that belong together, but you open up the box and they're not
There was
all
already a whole
there.
piece.
Yeah.
There was a whole piece until we divided it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's a
when
crazy
we,
analogy, but
no, but it makes sense. And it's, when I remember someone telling me, Ford Taylor, I went through this training and he said, anxiety and depression live in the space between who you say you are and who you really are, or what you say you believe and what you actually believe. Just because you say something doesn't mean you believe that thing.
hmm.
And you're almost better off admitting that you don't really believe the thing you want to believe and work towards believing it
Yeah.
than pretending like you believe. And I
Hmm.
realized that's essentially a fractured person because now you're saying you're one thing, but
Hmm.
you're not that one thing. And you
Hmm.
know it. Maybe other people don't know it, but you know it. And then you
Hmm.
can't be who you really are because you're pretending.
Right.
And
Right.
this is something that I always encourage people is, do you, in our faith, do you believe what you believe because you've been told that's what you're supposed to believe? Or do you believe it because you actually believe it? Because I've noticed when someone who is of faith, uh, has some sort of trial, they may have a crisis of faith. And often it's because, well, you don't really believe, you've just been told, oh, as a Christian, you're supposed to believe these things.
Hmm.
And then you don't pursue it. You don't get to know God. You're just going off of someone else's faith and what their faith looks like. You don't have one
Hmm.
of your own. So that's why one of the things that I love to share with people is go seek God, go learn who He is. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. You can only know who you are once you know who He is because you were made in His image.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, this is a big topic for you, and I know you do wholeness retreats and all this stuff. What caused you to do that? Like, do you have a story that happened in your life that where you learned this and it changed you, where you want to share it? Like, what did it for you?
Can you ask me what you're asking me in a different way?
Sure. Do you have a testimony where you were living broken, let's say, or divided, and you had the revelation of wholeness and what it really means to the point where you it changed you so much that that this is part of who you are and what you coach and what you teach people?
Hmm.
Does that make more sense?
Yes.
If you want to
I,
share, if you don't feel
no, it's
comfortable, it's
fine.
okay.
No, no, it's not that at all. I just wanted to make sure I understood the question. I think for me, there's always been this resounding um, confidence, resolve. Confidence doesn't, it's not even right. I've always known that I connect to the Trinity.
Okay.
I've always known that they were good. I don't know how. Okay. because I've had so many things around me say other things, but this, like, my knower inside just knew. And
Hmm.
even when I would read scripture and something to me didn't line up with the God I experienced and the Father I knew, and I'm like, well, maybe I just don't understand that.
Hmm.
Or I just kind of like, okay, well, I'll understand that when I need to, instead of like stressing about it in the moment, because it didn't match with the Father that I experienced and knew myself. And that experience weighed so much more in my life than what other people told me, than even what the Bible said. Because I could read the Bible so many different times and still get different things out of it every time.
Yes.
Okay. So we can take the Bible and we can make it pro a situation or con, for the same situation, find different things so I'm not saying it's not needed, but I know my relationship with the Trinity. I can connect with them. I can hear from them. I'm pretty confident in all of that. So, in regards to all of that, even my life was pretty tumultuous. My childhood, just growing up, it there were a lot of great things, but then there were a lot of not so great things.
Were you
But
Christian as a child? Like, were you already in the faith?
no,
Okay.
no. My mom would take us to what are they called during the week?
Like the prayer service thing?
No, what's it called? Like summer, like it'd be a week of Bible.
Oh, like vacation Bible school?
Yes. I was like, what is the word for that? Yeah. We would go to something like that,
Okay.
and honestly, God love my mom. I think it was probably to give her a break because there were five of us. You know what I mean? And so, which, great. But we didn't go to a church. If
Okay.
anything, there were times my mom said we were Catholic, and I didn't even know what that meant.
Hmm.
So I just different stuff. But I had my own. It's funny because it wasn't until like 5 years ago, possibly now, maybe a little bit longer, that the Trinity reminded me of a conversation I had with them when I was like 5
Hmm.
in my bed, just chatting with them. And I remember it. I didn't until I'm like, oh my God, I remember having that conversation and just chatting with them, And I didn't have language really to explain a lot of the stuff that I believed and understood. And that wasn't actually Jason Clark's book, Leaving and Finding Jesus, really helped me with language. And I'm
Okay.
like, this is what I've thought and felt for years. And now I have language for it. So back to your question in regards to when was there a specific moment? I don't think there was ever really a specific moment as much as an uncovering
Hmm.
or remembering that I'm whole and that I'm not lacking anything and that everything I need is already in me. And that just came from it just my interactions and my encounters with the Trinity, consistently encouraging, consistently reminding me. Now there might be moments where um I did gain language for that. Like I said, reading Jason's book, and then also like there was a point in 2016 where someone was praying for me and was like, I see embers of fire coming off of you and starting fires all around you. And I was like, I almost cussed. I don't know if we can cuss on this. Sorry. So anyway, I was like, yes, because that resonated with me. But and part of my identity is a fire starter. Part
Okay.
of my identity is a disruptor. And so for those who had a hard time with that, really in my life, those who didn't understand it had a hard time with it. I didn't care because I knew I was operating at not like I was a destruction.
Yes,
That's
no, I
different.
understand. Yeah.
That's different. Okay. Even fire starters are not destructive. Okay. So, but it just became more of my awareness in the truth of who I am and my wholeness in that. And honestly, like if we want to use scripture, Jesus, I mean, in Genesis, it says that we were created in his image, right? And on the sixth day, and we were very good. I'm not quoting it, I'm
Yeah.
botching it completely. And we were very good, right?
Yes,
He didn't change his mind. If you want
correct.
to use scripture again, right, to
Mhm.
confirm that, it says he is the same today, yesterday, and forever.
Yep.
So if we're wanting to argue scripture in that, which one is true? But that there's also another one that says he doesn't lie. So what are we going to do with all of that information?
And
All I know is he
furthermore,
didn't change his mind. So I'm
correct.
still very good.
And furthermore, even after what some would call the fall, God referred to a human as being made in his image,
100%.
right? So the fall didn't change God's creation,
No.
it changed our perception.
Mm-hmm.
Shame came in, and then we get to choose where we're gonna sit. Well, who are you gonna believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have to know God. Okay, so now I thought of another
I hope that
question.
answered your question.
No, yes, it did. No, it did. I have like that knowing. I understand the knowing, just the knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting when you just know things that you shouldn't know, but you know, and other people don't know it, but I don't know. So I
I get
get
it.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So how has, oh, I have, and you could pick which question you want to answer. So one is, how has living your life wholehearted had an impact? Like, how has it improved, let's say, your quality of life? Or you have 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So you're teaching them this stuff. They're growing up believing this. How
Mm-hmm.
has it helped them in their life growing up believing them versus how you grew up believing? Like, what is there a distinction? Like, how is it helping them become adults?
I think first and foremost, they have the space because we're so connected. My husband and I are connected to each other and we're connected to our kids. That my kids know that what I mean by connection is like there's no walls between us. They know they can come to us with anything. So not that they're not scared to, just for clarity in that. But because they know they're connected, they know who they are and they're secure in their identity because they are loved by their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And there's space for them to question, there's space for them to feel, there's space for them to be who they are without perfectionism playing that role. They know that they can just be whoever they are. And, if they're not operating out of their identity very well and there's some things that need to be cleaned up, they do that too. But we are able to, I believe we have fought very hard, my husband and I's marriage, my husband and I's relationship, to allow the authenticity in our own marriage for my kids to see that and see the safety in that as well. And we don't really we don't hide things from the kids. We don't tell them all all according to a maturity. Like it's not like we're telling them everything all the
Right. Yeah.
time, you know. But like when we went through all the stuff that we went through regarding this church we attended, some of the kids knew everything that happened, and some of the kids didn't know any barely anything that happened because of their age. And so, as far as our kids growing up in this, I look at me as a parent being successful as a parent simply based on this. If my kids know that they can connect to the Trinity, can hear from the Trinity, and can sense the Trinity in all the ways, and know they can go to the Trinity, I'm a successful parent. I
That's
don't care
good.
about everything else in life. Like, and they do know. And so I'm like, okay, well, I already know that the Trinity is good and they're kind and they're going to show up in their life and they are in their life and they're present. I know the Trinity is going to do their part. Now I know the kids can connect and they know that they can. Now I just get to enjoy. There's not a performance thing going on. There's not like, hey, you're not measuring up. You got to get your ish together. I don't know. We don't do that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And so,
totally. Totally. I think a lot of times, and this happened to me, and I've talked to my parents about this before, so it's not something they don't know, but you know, a lot of times the pressure we put on our kids is more
mhm,
about what are people going to say, what are people going to think. You may
mhm,
not care as a parent, right? Because what's the big deal? But you're so concerned about what it's going to look like or what people are going to say. And it has nothing to do with integrity or goodness or love or anything. It has
mhm,
to do with people pleasing and trying to make other people happy. And years
mhm,
ago, I had someone who was like, every time I look at you, I think about Galatians 1:10. And in like my little paraphrased version of Galatians 1:10 is Paul saying, if God is pleased with you, who cares about what anybody else has to say? That's
mhm,
my little paraphrased version of that verse. And it changed a lot for me because when when you live your life knowing that God is pleased with you,
mhm.
it and it doesn't matter what anybody else, you're just going to do it. You're going to do it. You're going to feel confident. You're going to be unbothered. And people can criticize you and say whatever they want to say about you and not agree with you, but it's not going to matter because God's the only one that you need to be concerned about. So,
Yeah, even in that, I'm going to push back a little bit on
okay.
that with
No,
you if
go
you're
ahead.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even in that, I don't look at God as pleased with me because
Okay.
that comes back to what I'm doing.
Okay.
That comes back to, did I do enough?
Okay.
Did I say it right? Did I do this? This is just me and my language with it, okay? So I would not want my kids ever to come to me and be like, "Hey, are you pleased with me?"
Mm-hmm.
I want my kids to know that they know that they know that we love them despite everything, that they may have chose differently than us, despite just, whatever life choice, whatever, like above everything, they know that they're loved by us. And that is what it is for me with the Trinity. It doesn't matter what I say or do. I could displease him according to what
Right,
some
right. Yeah.
people might say. You know what I mean? That displeases God. Okay. I don't care. I know that I am loved by him.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he draws me in and pulls me close and holds me. Okay. If I feel like I'm getting a spiritual Heisman from him, that's not him. If that's not
Yep,
him,
yep.
that's not Jesus, that's not Holy Spirit at all. So just to push back a little bit on your wording, and that's just
No, no,
me,
no.
because
It's
language,
not. I
yeah,
words for me are important, making sure
yeah.
apples to apples, right? So I'm
Hmm.
so glad you say that. And listen, I am someone who I don't look for agreement.
Yeah.
I'm looking either for understanding or like, hey, help me grow, help me see. So and it's good that you said that because when I say God is pleased with me, see, in my
Hmm.
mind, I'm not thinking I'm doing all the right things, I'm saying all the right
Hmm.
things. I'm thinking I'm secure in who God has made me because I believe that if I focus on being who God made me to be, I will do all the things that need to be done naturally. I don't have to think about it. It's easy. It's like it's easy. It
Hmm.
flows. Even when
Right.
things come against me, there's an ease to it because I'm not working.
Hmm.
so hard. Like I work full time, but I do ministry full time basically too. And to some people's like, oh my gosh, that's so much. But to me, there's an ease that comes with it. It's I love the Trinity so much, and I want everyone to experience who they are,
Hmm.
that it doesn't feel like I'm carrying anything heavy. I'm
Hmm.
just doing what I feel like I was created to do. And like for
Hmm.
you, what you were created to do
Hmm.
may look different for me. So
100%.
for me to compare myself and be like, oh, I'm not, ah, man, Brooke is better than me. I should be doing, look at what Brooke is doing. Like, no, wrong.
Right.
Because you're you, and you're going to
Hmm.
express God, a facet of God differently than me. And that's why I love, like I said, don't ever feel afraid to push back, because to me, that's what it's about. There's things that I don't understand. That's why I love like the tacos community and just different.
Mm.
I don't always agree with everything that everyone
Yeah.
says, but to
Hmm.
me, I want to understand why you feel that way, why you believe that way, because what if
Yeah.
I'm missing something?
Hmm.
you know?
That's good.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not about pleased in the sense of I'm working enough, I'm earning. This is not about earning. We're
Yeah.
already loved by God. I mean, He
Hmm.
created us. So why
Right.
would we like,
Right.
and He said we were very good.
Yes.
So why
Yes.
would we think, I always compare us to being like diamonds, a diamond that was underground and experiencing all this pressure. When we find the diamond, it's all dirty and mucky and maybe not too shiny, doesn't make it not a diamond. It's still a diamond.
Hmm.
So how do we reveal the diamond?
Hmm.
How do we come to understand, okay, maybe I feel like I don't look like the diamond right now. I'm a little murky, and I've got some scratches on me, but
Hmm.
I'm still a diamond.
Right.
So, how can I reveal the diamond so that God can be reflected on earth?
That's good.
So, yeah, yeah. So that's what I meant. So, I appreciate you pushing back.
Sorry. Well, I think sometimes to me, I think language is a huge barrier. And I don't mean just like Spanish and English and French.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
I mean like it's a barrier because of our own presuppositions of our mindsets, our wounds, our traumas, our healing, our environment, how we grew up, all of that. I can use one word and it means something completely different to someone else,
Yes.
and but language does matter. At the same time, I'm a crisis counselor, I'm an addictions and recovery counselor. I've been in the trauma field for over 20 years, okay? I If someone says to me that they don't talk to God but they talk to the universe, great. Let's talk to the universe. I don't even care. You can call him whatever you want. I don't He doesn't care. He's not offended, you know? And it's just like, but other people can be very easily, well, I didn't use the right word. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not going to get stuck in that language barrier because the word I think someone should be using isn't being used. No, that's not choosing the relationship,
I
you know?
absolutely agree. I absolutely agree.
So,
Because to me, it's about the intention of the heart. I mean, there's times where I want to pray either for myself or for someone else, and I don't say a word. I just sit
hmm.
there and I just, in my heart, I'm God, I don't know. I don't have words, but the intention of the heart matters. So think about some indigenous groups. They don't know God the way we know, but they have a word for how they see God because nature reveals him. So, yeah, if you get caught up, it's like some people are, oh, you can't say Jesus, you have to say Yeshua or whatever, people, and it's okay, you're creating this formality to this relationship. Sometimes I call him love.
Hmm.
Maybe you don't agree, maybe you do. Doesn't matter. That's what and he responds and he listens because he knows,
Hmm.
the heart. And when someone does, let's say they don't believe the way we believe and they do, the universe or whatever they choose to call it, it's God knows that who they're looking for is him
Yeah,
and he'll
that's what I mean.
respond.
Yeah, yeah. You know, but language, I think people do get caught in that, and it could just be such a huge barrier at times. You
And
know.
sometimes culture and society, they use words a certain way. Like even some biblical words, what I would call biblical words, because culture and society use words in a different way, it's almost
Hmm.
not conducive for us to use those words because we're not conveying what we are trying to say. We may
Right.
be saying the word and we know, oh, this is what I mean. Doesn't mean the person hearing it is hearing it the way you're trying to say it.
Right. Right.
So, for example, you know how the Bible uses some, or I've heard people say, I don't even know if the Bible says it like this, to be honest. Let God use you, or may you be used by God. I personally don't like that language. As someone who's experienced abuse, I don't want to be
Hmm.
used by anyone, including God. I think
Hmm.
He partners with us, He works with us. So to me, and while some people it doesn't bother them, well, other people it may bother them because of
Hmm.
what they've gone through. So it's important to me. I'm a words person. I stood
Hmm.
in Mike and I went to I don't know, we were somewhere by Panama City, and I went in this cool old school bookstore.
Hmm.
And there it wasn't like a Christian bookstore, it was just a regular bookstore, but like cool old, like regular old one. And I'm standing in there, and Mike left to go to a different store, and I'm there by myself, and I'm looking around, and it had like all these, Frankenstein classics, the classics, right? And the
Hmm.
old style books. And I got a little emotional because words, like I love words, and these books are people's hearts,
Hmm.
creativity. Like I know what it takes to write a book and to put a message out there. So for me, it's like I'm looking at this and I felt so honored to be surrounded by so many hearts.
Yeah.
Like I may not agree with you, I may not, whatever, but like you still put it out there.
Hmm.
And to me that's wholehearted. It's you
Hmm.
put yourself out there. You're willing to be vulnerable. You're willing to be criticized. You're willing to just so that you can be your whole self. And when you are, in my opinion, you're going to live a much more peaceful life, content,
Hmm.
happy, good quality of life. And
Hmm.
everyone always focuses on the fact that Jesus said we will have trials and tribulations. But he also said we'd have peace that surpasses understanding, unspeakable joy, and abundant life. And
Hmm.
everyone's focused on the trial, and then they act
Hmm.
like Jesus did nothing on the cross and we're just supposed to be miserable. And I'm like, no, he gave us, like you use the word blueprint. He gave us a blueprint.
Hmm.
It's there for us.
Hmm.
So,
It's definitely
okay,
there.
so as a counselor,
Hmm.
and so, I know you coach people and you lead meetings and you do like all this awesome stuff. What is one or two practical pieces of advice you can give these ladies that can help them live wholehearted? Like if there's something easy for them to do or not do or think or whatever, what is it? Like what is your boom slam dunk, here's your win for the day, you can do this, live a wholehearted life?
Um, well, okay. I think the biggest struggle men do it too. I don't want to just be like, men don't do this. But one of the biggest struggles is dismissing yourself.
Mm,
And what we tend to do is put things on a spectrum. And we'll say, well, at least it wasn't as bad as, or we'll say, this person has it worse than me, or I have it better than them, or all the things, whatever, however you want to define that. Look, There's always going to be someone out there whose life is shittier than yours. Sorry, I did it. That time I
It's
answered.
okay.
Okay.
Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
there's there's always going to be people in who have better lives than you. There's
Yep.
nothing you can do
Or
about.
worse.
That's why I said
Yep.
worse, but I used
Or
a different
better.
word.
Yep.
Yeah, it can either have worse or better than your life. And honestly, that's not even the marker. It's what are you going to do with the information that you have right now about your own life? And when we dismiss that, we negate ourselves, we silence ourselves, we make ourselves unvaluable and unworthy because we dismissed ourselves. So, number one thing, don't dismiss yourself. Don't dismiss, and like, don't dismiss how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Don't dismiss how you think. Like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that way. Or, no, this is how I think about this. I do feel angry and I am angry. I don't know who decided to say that there's a good girl out there that follows Jesus and isn't supposed to ever be angry and say, not allowed to say no. Whoever wrote that book, I'm sorry. That would be a fire starter moment for me. But anyway, all that to say, it's like, no, it's okay if you're angry. Jesus can handle your anger.
Yes.
Can you handle your anger? So acknowledge what's going on inside of you, feel it, talk to him about it, and then let it go.
Yep.
That would be that's another process thing for me, you know. So it's like don't dismiss yourself. Just acknowledge what's going on. That'll remove a lot of the looping and the ruminating we do in our minds. All of that. If we acknowledge how we feel and just own how we're feeling instead of dismissing, you know. But I think don't dismiss yourself. Don't dismiss the people around you because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't say it right. Don't dismiss someone because they don't believe the same thing that you do, you know. Um, and then the childlike wonder, be curious,
Hmm.
be curious, be a scientist, ask questions. Don't be the judge and make the decision and then it's final, but be curious. Your opportunity to connect with someone, you're going to have more of that from a place of curiosity than contempt.
Absolutely.
I'm not ever going to get to know you if I've already made a judgment about you because you have this look on your face, and then I'm never going to get to know you.
Yep.
But you know what? If I'm curious, I can ask questions. How are you doing? Are you feeling okay? What is your day like? All of that, and find out, you know what? I just found out my dad died. That's why I have this look on my face. You know what I mean? And so it's like operate from a place of curiosity and mystery and wonder. There's so much more joy in that
Yeah.
than living from a place of certainty. Girl, I could talk about that forever. So,
I agree. And I always tell people like I'm a weirdo because to me, I know that this life is one where I'm always going to be learning. I'm never going to know everything. And that excites me. Some people that stresses them out. They want to know the
well,
answers to every, and to me, it's like the fact that I get to search for the answers is what excites me in life. The fact that I
mm-hmm,
know I'll never know it all excites me. It makes,
mm-hmm.
it's, I don't know why I'm such a weirdo that way. I know a lot of people aren't like that, but
You're
it,
not weird.
I wake up excited every day, even when it's hard. But I want to touch on something before we end because you said something and you discussed it when you were talking about not dismissing yourself and in your emotions. And you mentioned how I don't want to blow past this because I don't think I'll be able to have this conversation with anyone else. Emotions are information.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I believe was very healing to me to realize like all it's doing is telling me there's something going on inside. And even, people use the word trigger, maybe you have a trigger, whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. But when it happens, if you're aware of who you are and you don't deny it, you're going to be able to get over, I'll just say, get over the trigger
Right. Hmm.
faster if you confront it, if you allow yourself to feel that thing and understand why are you feeling that thing. Because sometimes at under the underlying issue is control. Because someone's done something that you can't control, you can't change, impacts you. And fine, that's okay, but when you realize that, you wind up taking the control back. So to me, it's the only control the Bible talks about is self-control. I can't control what you do, but I can control what I do. And I have control over my destiny. I have control over how I think about things. So it's when I leave it to other people, again, it goes back to you were talking to about when you were talking about dismissing, and all goes back to comparison. You're trying to compare, oh, they have it better than me or they have it worse than me, and you're just comparing yourself to someone else, and that's never going to produce anything good.
Part of that, you said control, but I would say fear,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
fear of not being enough, fear of being known, fear of, insert whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and fear and control, like we talked about earlier, do go hand in hand. But I just think more often than not, people are scared and they don't know what to do with their scary.
Mm,
They either think they're scary or they're scared of someone else's scary. And then what do I do with that?
yeah.
Instead of it just being like, it's okay, I don't have the answer. And this is just where I'm at right now. And I'm going to take time to be kind to myself, to love myself, because what got me here, other people not loving me the way that I need to, I'm not going to agree with that. So I'm going to love myself the way that I need to. I'm going to
Yes.
take time to pause. I'm going to say no to that because that's not what I need right now. And I'm going to say yes to the coffee with my friend because you know what? I just need to be seen right now. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say yes to this over here because my family needs me. I'm not going to say, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's okay. Give yourself permission to be you. Give yourself permission. And honestly, your true, authentic self is full of joy,
Yeah, exactly. It's
is
full
full
of
of joy.
joy, full of peace, full of all the good stuff, right? I know my daughter's in college in Iowa, and I had mentioned to you we haven't attended a conventional church, like been members of, I've attended, but I haven't been a member of a conventional church. And we've raised our girls like we've discussed today. But she went up to Iowa and she got involved with different Christian groups because
Mhm.
it was a way for her to make friends in addition to her team. Well, she was part of Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and she was going to all the meetings every Sunday. And essentially that was her church to her. She doesn't go to church. And to be honest, she has bad experience because even in high school, the church girls were the mean ones. They were the
Yeah, it's
ones who made.
sad. Hmm.
So she believes in God. She loves God. She's very prophetic and all that stuff. But, we have that. So one day, not too long ago, she decided instead of going to the FCA meeting, she wanted to go play pickleball with her friends. Now, at towards the end of the year, I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this. Towards the end of the year, I went back. She had to go back to school early, so I went with her and I stayed with her at school for a week. And she was kind of miserable. I could tell like her mental health was a little not great. And being there for a week, I understood the weather's stinky. So I don't use another word. It's stinky, it's gloomy, it's cold. And the people aren't like, it's not that the people aren't nice. It's just we're used to walking around and everyone says, "Hi, how are you?" Whether they know you're not there. Even people who knew us would pass by and not say hello. So it's a culture shock to Anna, and she misses home. So I was like, okay, and her friends hadn't gotten back yet. She was early. So she decided to miss FCA and go to play pickleball with her friends. Well, the leader wasn't very happy and basically made it sound like if Anna has problems in life, then maybe she shouldn't miss meetings that she should be at.
Mm-mm.
And it, I mean, and what was funny was part of her went to play pickleball because when she thought of missing the meeting, she realized she wasn't afraid of what God thought of her. She was afraid of what this person would
Mm-hmm.
say and think.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes,
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't live like that. So I'm going to go play
100%.
pickleball.
Good for her.
But then it
I'm sure
became
it didn't
this,
go well.
it didn't. But then what happened was this adult support system that she had now went away.
Right. The transactional started to show.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then she struggled a little bit. So I was a little worried for a bit and she would text me like I just want to come home and I'm like it's fine, just pray to God, talk to him, remember all the things and I wrote her a little book to her just to remind her of things
Mm-hmm.
constantly. But that's how I grew up. I grew up with if you don't go to church, you're backsliding. If you do that, it's kind of you're being measured by these standards that
God's
it's
not
not
measuring
even
you by.
biblical. It's not
Mm-hmm.
even in the Bible. Like what is happening and why? And it's hard. I personally don't fit into any box. And it's one of those like you try to put me in a box. Well, then I'll really not fit in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna fit there.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but it's why? Because to me, it's, I want to live the way I see God designed it, according to his
Mm-hmm.
blueprint, right? And hey, life is life, and not everything here is hunky dory, and not everyone has Jesus in their lives the way we do. So not everyone's gonna make the best decisions. And hey, I have them in my life, and I don't always make the best decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to realize that, have more compassion for one another, be willing to understand one another, and not assume. What I want to say too, now that just came to mind, talking about wholehearted. I think approaching relationships and people under the assumption they're broken.
Uh, Girl, that's a whole nother podcast for me. Seriously, there's a huge narrative out there that says that and will use scripture to use it against you. And that's
Yeah.
honestly, that's spiritual abuse.
Yes, I
That's what that
agree.
is. And so there's a huge narrative out there that says you're broken, above all else, your heart is deceitful, right? That's scriptural. But that's not what God was saying. No, I can't. Like,
Oh, it's
no,
in my
you are not
book. So
broken.
I'm actually
You
going
are
to
not
take the
broken.
ladies through my first book, The Journey. I talk about that because that, if you read it in context, it's not talking about every human being,
Hmm.
and it's, to say your heart is deceitful. So you go on that hamster wheel. It's okay, I can't trust my heart. It's deceitful. But what if I surrender my heart and I
Or you're a
give,
new creation.
yes, but everything's new except my heart and I still can't trust my heart,
Right.
but I'm supposed to be new and everything's new but I still can't trust. It's one of those like the logic for me goes in circles and
Hmm.
it just makes no sense. It just
Right.
makes no sense.
Right.
And then it's, think about that, like you can't even trust yourself, so how
Hmm.
are you supposed to trust anybody else?
Right.
You can't. And
Right.
people who live their lives with distrust, they're cynical, they're angry, they're frustrated. You don't treat people well because you're always going in it with, you know,
My spiritual
arms,
Heisman.
yeah,
That's what I call it.
arm distance. What do you call it?
Spiritual Heisman.
Yeah, spiritual husband. They stay back, stay back, stay back. Yeah, and it affects your relationships. I remember, and I think I had heard this from Danny Silk. It was when I met Jason Clark. We were at a conference, and that's when no, Jason wound up not going, but his book was there. God is Not in Control. And I bought his book, and that's how I was introduced to Jason. But Danny had said something like, we can't go into our relationships distrusting people because of what we've gone through, because
Hmm.
it's not fair to that person. They haven't done anything to you. everyone should come in with a level of, let's say, if I'm talking practically, everyone comes in with a level of trust. You can build a trust, you can lose the trust. But to automatically distrust people and assume they're going to hurt you, take advantage of you, that's not fair. That's a miserable. I lived like that. It is a miserable way to live life.
Hmm.
And now that I approach people like they're whole, they're made in God's image, everyone has gold in them. I have so many. I had to rebuild my life when I moved to Florida. I have way more solid relationships. I'm surrounded by incredible people near and far because I've been willing to look at people. And
Yeah.
Christian, not Christian, doesn't matter to me.
Hmm.
To me, it's everyone has it.
Hmm.
And, if you're looking to live your life and you're in, and when I say in service to others, I mean you're always doing things, but like you're other centered, you're living in love, then to me, it's like I want to be around you and,
Hmm.
be in your orbit somehow.
I get it. Yes, for sure. It's
Yeah.
good.
So tell everyone how they can get in touch with you, like what you have going on. We'll make sure to put all the links in the show notes so they can easily access you, but tell everybody how they can do that.
Okay, so my website, path2wholeness.org. And then I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I mean, you can look me up either my Life of the Waters, it's my family, my personal one, or Path to Wholeness, either
Okay.
one. I'm on there. But um, yeah, just
Okay.
those two are really the best places. And I mean, if you really want to email me, you can email me info@pathtoWholeness.org. If something you said that you're like curious, if something I said that you're curious about, or you just want to argue with me about, I'm all for it. I'll have a conversation with you. So, um, and I laugh, but I mean, in all sincerity, if anything, I'm open for those things. So, but usually people can find me on Facebook, Instagram. But
Cool.
my website has everything on it that I do. My retreats that I have two a year, one for the body, one for identity, and the identity one's usually in November. So, identity
Cool.
and rest. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
retreats are always awesome. I'm big into identity. I have a whole other
Hmm.
podcast about it. But thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, to share your heart, share your gold nuggets of wisdom. You dropped a bunch, and I just hope people pick it up and put some in their treasure chest. And like she said, I mean, if you have a question on anything that she said, you can reach out to her. You can put a question down below. We will make sure that we, connect with you, and we don't want to leave you in confusion or anything like
Yeah.
that. I think discussion is always key, understanding. And that's always my goal. I love having
Hmm.
discussions. So I always tell people, you don't have to agree with me. The one
Right.
thing I ask though is if you have a belief that is different from mine, that's okay. I just hope you can articulate why you believe what you believe. That's all I ask.
It's good. It's
Because
good.
then you really believe it. But if you
Yeah.
share, if you, I have this little thing I nitpick. If you share a video of someone else's to explain to me why you believe what you believe, I get frustrated. I won't watch it. You should be able to tell me in your own words.
Yes. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Brooke. I loved having you here. I definitely am going to try to go to your retreat in November. And yeah, so I hope everyone enjoys it, and just make sure that in all you do, try to live wholehearted. And if you take anything away, remember she said, don't dismiss yourself,
Yeah.
and make sure that you're living wholehearted. Give it your 100% in everything you do.
It's
All right,
good.
guys, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Lady, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Before you go, I want to share something with you. Our stats show that most of you come back and listen every week, which is incredible and humbling and truly means so much. But most of our listeners actually aren't subscribed. If you'd like to help increase the reach of In Her Image, one of the simplest ways you can do that is by subscribing to the podcast. Subscribing helps the platform know this content matters and allows these conversations to reach more women who need them. You can also help by sharing an episode with a friend, letting them know that, hey, I listened to this and it was a blessing to me, and I think it can bless you too. Or you can leave a review. You can like, you can comment. All of these small actions make such a big difference. I want to thank you for being here and for being part of this and helping us grow. Until next time, keep becoming who God made you to be.